Hello, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to MK Communities Brokerage. My name is Mohammed. In this video, I'm going to talk about the second part of the insurance brokerage exam. Now, I already went to first of the part. I was talking about how the other parts, such as how to create bonds, what it is, basic insurance terminology. In this part, I'm also going to go over some of the insurance terminology when a person needs to know when they become a broker or agent in New York City or in New York State in general. And some of them I'm just going to go over. I try my best to talk over as much as possible, but I always try to highlight some of the important things, and I usually talk about that. That's how I do my own thing over here, so that I don't waste a lot of time on reading, which will create a 2-3 hour video. I'll just go over certain key points. You will always feel free to pause the video, obviously, and read through every point if you want to do that way. That's not a problem. But how I work is like I go over certain points. It's kind of like a summarizing everything point of view. That's the way I teach. Let's say on implied authority. Let's go about going to the topic now. Implied authority, as the name suggests, is implied in the agent's express authority. Basically, it's an unnatural, unwritten extension of the written express authority. They give an example. For example, an agent who has the express authority to operate an office on behalf of a company with a corresponding rental and operation budget would have the implied authority. The only thing you need to know is what is an implied authority and what is an apparent authority. That's all you need to know. Apparent authority was in the exam section question, so always know what it is. So apparent authority is authority that the agent apparently holds with his or her company from the point of view of a perspective for insurance or some other third party. For example, if an agent binds an insured to a particular coverage, even though he or she has no binding authority, the coverage will be deemed to be bound if the subsequent loss occurred. Why? From the perspective point of view, the agent had the authority to do so. So basically know the difference between these two. That's always good to know. Agency law principle, waiver, and estoppel are two important principles to keep in mind. Waiver is the voluntary relinquishment of abandonment of a known rights, claim, or privileges. Estoppel is a legal bar to changing or denying a fact because of one's own previous action or words to the contrary. That's all you need to know. The first parts are all definitions. They're giving you key terms to remember. This one, there's no way, it's very, even if I go and just talk about only about waiver, it could be a long topic to talk about. The best thing for study purposes is to know what waiver is and what estoppel is. If you know the difference between these two, the exam question will come right in front of you, like you'll see the answers. If you're not gonna know what it is, you're not gonna understand it. Memorizing is the only key aspect. You memorize something, it's always gonna help you out. After that, you can forget it. I mean, to be honest with you, you're never gonna use this. I'm gonna be personally speaking from experience. You never use this as an insurance agent or a broker. If you can sell property lines, you can sell commercial lines, you're never going to know. Is it good to know? I always will agree, yes. Are you going to see this during the test? Yes. Are you going to see this in real life? Nope. You're never going to see them. So at test perspective, that's where I'm trying to help you guys memorize it. Alright? Rescission is the act of canceling a contract. So, common sense. That's what it is. Potential liability of agents E&O. Going on part of this, I want you to memorize this. Professional liability arises from a failure to use due care and the degree of skill required and expected of a particular profession. What this means is every time in New York City, if you see an agent or broker making coverages and everything, they will have something called a potential liability of agents E&O. Every agent will have an errors and omission, and what that is I want to explain to you in quick reference. So basically, E&O is a policy where if an insurance and as you can see, it's error and omission insurance. If an insurance broker or an agent makes a mistake, let's say for example, how can I say that example? Alright, perfect example. Let's say you buy a car, correct? You buy a car and now you want insurance. You wanted $1 million worth of insurance on your car because your car it's a 2020 brand new Mercedes-Benz. You want $1 million worth of insurance. Your insurance agent or broker, depending who you go to, puts the insurance coverage for $100,000, not for $1 million. You said you want $1 million coverage, but the person gives you $100,000. You go ride this brand new beautiful Mercedes and you get in an accident. You find out that you're only covered for $100,000. Now guess what? It's not your fault. You told your agent that you want $1,000,000, but your agent gave you 100,000. Guess who's at fault? The agent. This is just an example. I'm just giving you a perfect example. Or another example is you buy a home. You tell your agent that you need, property coverage for outside of property. Let's say for argument's sake, that's what you want, and your broker forgot about it, and the tree fell and there was no property. You could get that for. You could go to your agent or broker and get them for that. That's where they have errors in omission. They have $1 million to $1 million policy on their hand just in case if they get sued for stuff like that. Because the more agent or broker has customers, there's more liability that they might make a mistake. They're human beings at the end of the day, so keep that in mind. Hopefully, I explained that part. Okay. Legal interpretation affecting contract. Since insurance contracts are contracts of adhesion, written totally by one party to the contract, the insurer, and accepted and rejected by the other, the insured, with no negotiation, any ambiguous and interpreted in favor of the insured. They will always favor the insured. All right. You are, as a broker, you're basically the third party. You're bringing the customer to that company. All right. So keep this in mind. You're making sure that everything is in fact correct. Everything that the customer says, this is what they want. Because this is the reason why you're also making that insurance, having that insurance on you for errors and omission, because you don't want that make mistake. All right. The purpose of the licensing basically is for professional competence of insurance. It's for freedom of marketing methods for insurance, competition, obviously, if you want, cost of insurance, and marketing practices. Who are required to have a license? This is common sense. If you're an agent, broker, sub-licensee, excess lines broker, consultant, or adjuster, these are the people that you need the license. All right. Step on the side. Non-residents, temporary and business entities. What is an agent? This is a very good question, and they might ask you during the exam. Agent is an individual partnership or corporation authorized and run by an insurance company to act as its agents in order. Some of them, common sense, Allstate, State Farm, Liberty Mutual. They're all agents. They represent what company? Allstate represents who? Allstate. Geico represents what? Geico. That's what the agent is. They will represent that company because that's what the agent is. They're representing Allstate. They're representing Geico. They're representing State Farm. So that's what they basically mean. They're individual partnership or a corporation, and they're basically representing them. Now, a broker. And one more thing, an agent will always represent the insurer, meaning that they're always going to represent the company. That's what it is. A broker is an individual partnership or corporation and they get a commission, obviously. They get a broker fee and any manner of sale of insurance and the representative of the insurer, meaning that they could work with any type of business, any insurance company. All right. They could place a customer with any company. The broker does not represent the broker represents more than a company. So the broker kind of represents the person, the client, because they're helping the client out, finding out what do they want. The agent represents the company. They have to sell the company, so they're selling their product. Okay, remember always something. Broker will always represent the insured. All right. An agent will always represent the company. Allstate, company, insurer. Broker, insured. All right, because you're representing the person. And it's an all broker. Any broker you see, it doesn't have to be insurance. If you go to a stockbroker, who do they come to? They always come to the clients. An agent will never come to the client. I mean, don't get me wrong, but they come to the clients for different purposes because they want to sell something. If I'm buying a bottle of water, I'm going to every store. I'm an agent, correct? I'm going to every store. I'm selling something. My job is to make sure I sell my product. I'm not going to go and sell Pepsi. If I'm representing Pepsi, I'm not going to sell Coke. That's what the difference between a broker and an agent is. They will always represent the company. They will always represent their insurance company, the insurer, and a broker will always represent the insured. Licensing requirement, obviously going to be 18 years age of older. If you're obviously working and living in New York City, you're going to be using the New York State license. You have to go to school, common sense, and you have to be doing business in good faith. What it means is they don't want no crooks. Keep this in mind, the yellow highlights, always look over them as well. Um, Not doing business in good faith, if individuals obtains more than 10% of his or her aggregate commission on this type of business over a 12-month period, he or she is deemed guilty of writing controlled business in New York State. An individual, let's read this again. An individual cannot obtain a license to write insurance business solely on his or her family business or business associates. The practice is considered contrary to public policy and not doing business in good faith. Basically, what they're saying that you're not supposed to be doing business with 10% of your family. You can't, like, if you have a big family, all them, you cannot be just doing business with them. You know, it kind of like that you're controlling your business. You're picking and choosing your clients. That's what they basically mean. You can't do that. Next page. Exemptions. The following individuals are exempt from the license requirement. Just keep this in mind. A regular salaried officer, employee, or other representative of an insurer. A representative of a fraternal benefit society who devotes less than 50% of the time in solicitation of insurance contract from society. A person who gives incidental advice in the normal course of a business or professional activity. Meaning that, you know how some people are, like, they only give advice and that's it. Basically, they're exempted. A holder of a group insurance policy, licensed attorney, and licensed real estate broker who are involved in the title insurance on behalf of their clients, an agent or broker whose license was revoked or suspended, obviously that's common sense, agent who represents title companies. All these listed are exemptions, okay? Read through the highlight ones. Sub-license. The principal of or principals operating or owning an insurance agency must be licensed as an agent or broker, depending on their contractual relationship with the insurer or insurers, in order to sell insurance in New York. Basically, any license issued to a firm or association may authorize only the members named as sub-licensees to act individually as agents. Corporation may authorize only officers and directors of sub-licensees. A sub-licensee can work for one agent or one broker only. So basically, what this is it's kind of like, how can I explain it? You're licensed, but you're let's say for example, if you're, let's say for example, you're a broker, right? You could use your license to have another person, which is what I'm understanding from this. So let's say you have your brokerage, and if the person wants to work underneath your license, they could do so as well. They could only work for one person, for one broker only at the same time. They can't have multiple sub-licenses. That's what they're basically saying. Access line brokers. Access or Circle Lines broker is an individual, partnership, or corporation licensed in New York State insurance coverage with non-admitted insurance companies because of the unavailability of the amount of type of insurance to the state admitted insurers. So what this is this. Let's say for example, sometimes there's very hard to get insurance. So access line brokers, what they do is they find some insurance which is very hard to get, and they basically sell that. Basically, that's what they do. They use on the unavailability of the amount of type of insurance through the admitted carriers. So admitted is basically, like, how can I explain it? It's kind of hard to explain. They don't really ask this, but just for explanation purposes, I'm explaining it. Basically, these are unauthorized insurers. Like, let's say, for example, there's insurance companies in Canada, right? Or let's say for England, right? Those considered as unavailability of insurance in New York, in the United States. Now, you want that insurance, but they're in Canada, or let's say, for example, in England. Now, you need that. Access line brokers are able to do that. They use those insurance companies to help you out in whatever you need. The number of declinations constitute diligent effort in regard to the placement of coverage with authorized insurance is 3. Let me see what else you need to know. A certificate or non-availability and affidavit must be filled with the insurance department for each line within 45 days after the effective date of coverage. You need to know the numbers, obviously. The following regulation pertains, it's right over here, to New York. Record of excess line insurance must be kept for 5 years after policy expiration. Only approved by the superintendent. Non-admitted insurance may be used for excess line placement. The insurers are listed on export list. These are all something to remember. All right. Anything you see with dates, time, years, memorize them. Finally, the following type of coverage may not be placed through excess lines: life, accident and health, annuities, working compensation. This is what I would actually memorize because it's something they might ask you during the test. Which of the following is may not be placed through access line? And now you know these are the four things, and these two as well: title insurance and private passengers. Consultants. An insurance consultant is an individual, partnership, or corporation engaged in the business of advising or counseling other people. Common sense. Adjusters. Independent adjusters means any person, firm, association, or corporation acting in New York on behalf of an insurance for money, commission, or anything of value in the work of investigating claims, adjusting claims. Let's see. Okay, adjusting claims, and basically what they are, put it like that. Let me see. Okay, these are the people that. You know how when you get in an accident? The reason I'm going through like this, guys, is just to explain to you much better. I feel like this is very hard to understand, and believe it or not, even I read it and I get confused. The more I read it, I'm like, well, what am I even reading? I try my best to explain to you in my simpler terms to help you guys out. And basically an independent adjuster. Their job is a little bit different. Like, you know how like sometimes an adjuster comes in and they look at what you're doing and everything. Basically, that's what the independent adjuster is. Like when they come, let's say if you have a car accident, they come in and they look at your car, like if the car is perfect or if the car is everything's okay. Those are considered as adjusters. All right. Their job is to make sure there's no fraud going on, everything's okay. They're not the employees of the insurance. Keep that in mind. They're not employees of the insurance. Adjusters working for insurance are company adjusters and need not be licensed. So keep that in mind with that part. So that's what their job is. Going through and leaving all this part, public adjuster. Again, in contract, a public adjuster means any person, firm, association, or corporation acting in New York on behalf of an insured. So keep that in mind. They're working on behalf of the insured and investigation, negotiation, or affecting the settlement of a claim for loss or damage. So again, they're working on behalf of the insured. So let's say, for example, you have a car fire, right? You call your Allstate, you call your agent or broker. They'll send a public adjuster. Never the independent adjusters are rarely seen, but public adjusters, since they represent you, they represent they're representing this. They'll come in and they'll they'll investigate whatever the case is. So basically, public adjusters are representing the company. I'm sorry, I thought they were. No, I'm sorry. The public adjusters are representing you. They're not representing the insurer. They're representing the insured, which is you. So keep that in mind. So like again with Allstate, if your car's on fire, you call Allstate. You call the claim insurance. They're gonna send a public adjuster, not a independent one. Independent independent adjusters are different. So public adjusters will come in, see and everything. Independent adjusters, you could say, is from the other company. So let's say, for example, you're with Allstate and the other guys with Geico. They're gonna send their independent independent adjuster, and they're gonna come in and investigate you as well. So that's what the difference between public adjuster is. They're basically representing you, and that representing that company, their company, whatever the company they're coming from. Hopefully, I explained a little bit better now. Let me go to the next page. 27. Non-resident. Let's go on a little bit of that. Our agents or brokers license may be issued at the discretion of the superintendent to individuals similarly licensed in their home state. The license may be revoked upon 10 days notice if these individuals' licenses are revoked. So keep that in mind. 10 is a famous number. Temporary license. The superintendent may issue a temporary insurance agent or broker license. The following individuals pass without requiring them to pass a written examination. These are the list of people over here. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but these are the people that are exempted. They could get a temporary license, basically. Let me see what else. Let's pick this out over here. What's 20? Where's that? 28. Oh, here it is. Okay. Temporary licenses are issued for a maximum period of 6 months. So keep that in mind. That's very important. 6 months in the case of a death of a property and casualty producer. subject to an additional amount of time at the discretion of the superintendent. Superintendent is a very, very powerful person. Basically, think of them as your boss. Once you become an agent or broker, they are your boss. You will never see that boss. A lot of times, you will never even hear about it. You will only see it if you mess up something in the insurance problem. Let's say, you were supposed to do something and you messed up. That's when you start hearing that name a lot. But otherwise, you will never hear about the name other than renewing your license and or taking the test. That's it. 6 months is the case of the death of a property, and 90 days in the case of the disability of an accident health agent, subject to an extension for up to 15 months at the discretion of the superintendent. Superintendent has a lot of power, guys. Business entities is a corporation, is an association, is a partnership, limited liability company, also known as LLC, limited liability partnership, or other entities. These are all business entities, alright? Basically, big business people. Office location. A designated person must be licensed as an agent or broker, alright? A notice must be given within 10 days following the establishment of a new location. Include any change in address of an existing location or the replacement of a designated person. So you got 10 days. If you go to somewhere else, you gotta let them know. You can't just say I'm leaving and you don't let them know. You have to let them know. All right. Go to the next page. Hold on. Okay. Well, I'm missing 29. I will get that for the next time. I'm sorry about that. I thought I had 29 over here, but I'll skip to 30. The superintendent may revoke or suspend the license of an individual who has willfully violated any provision of the insurance code, meaning that you messed up somewhere and you were supposed to do something, you didn't do it properly, intentionally withheld information, you committed fraud, you did fraudulent acts, you misappropriate funds, you've been found illegal of insurance practices. I don't know if you did that. And once you've revoked, the license may never be reinstated for 1 year. Keep that in mind. That is a test question as well. Once you get your license revoked, you cannot reinstate your license for 1 whole year. All right. That's the power of the superintendent. Fear that person. Termination of appointment. Every insurer or fraternal benefit society doing business in New York must file a certificate of appointment for every agent appointed to represent them within 15 days from the date the agency contract is executed or the first insurance application is submitted. Keep that in mind. All right. Insurers wishing, all the way on the bottom, again I'm going to go over this part. Insurers wishing to terminate an agent must give him or her 30 days notice unless the reason for termination involves premium transfer. All right. That's the only thing. If you want to terminate the agent, you're going to give them 30-day notice. Continuing education. Licensed agent, broker, consultant, and public adjusters must complete 15 hours of continuing education every 2 years to maintain their license in New York. That is true. This is guaranteed. You will need to know this as well. Not for the test purposes, but for your regular license as well. Every 2 years, you have to do a 15 continuing education courses on the insurance. All right, you have to do that. There's no way out of it. Once you do that part, then that person, that insurance school will send something to that to the insurance, what you call, system, letting them know that you completed it. You have to do it. It's every 2 years. All right. So even if you pass the exam, you might do it next year. Every 2 years you have to do it. It's like an even odd name system, stuff like that. Keep that in mind. Change of address. Again, you change your address. You get a all address, including email, within 30 days of the change. You gotta let them know. The superintendent. What else? Reporting of action. An adjuster, public or independent, or producer must report to the superintendent any administration action taken against the license in another jurisdiction by another government agency within 30 days. All right. Let's go to the next page. This is remember, this is part 2. These are some general insurance terminologies that I wanted to go over before I end my video. Keep that in mind. Always know anything. What's the difference between an insured, insurer? Keep that in mind. Life insurance, policy owners, premium is where they get the money. All right. Agents / producers, contracts. Read through this. Is this for your reference? Obviously, general insurance terminology reference. Well, with this, the last slide, that's it. this ends the second part of the insurance terminology video, the insurance exam. Guys, the purpose of me showing you this video is to help out you study for the exam. All right, do not choose this only study option. You have to choose. You have to study as well. Meaning that pause the video, read everything good. Numbers are always the game they'll ask you. They're not gonna ask you 100 questions on it, but at least 5 to 10 questions will be asked on numbers. All right, the years. Like for example, again, insurance. They'll ask you a question such as, how many years you need to renew your license? Guess what? You should know it just like that. 2 years, and I have to complete 15 continuing education credit. All right. They'll ask you questions with superintendent suspended license. If you get license suspended, how many years you have to wait? You gotta wait 1 year. So stuff like that you gotta remember. All right. With that, this is the second part. I will have additional parts of this. This is a little bit dry. I understand that. Even I get a little bit tired reading through this. But once the fun part, the educational part, like the part that you really want to listen to, it's gonna come in the future and on the other parts. And it's very interesting, to be honest with you. And now I could go on and on and on. With that being said, thank you again, guys, for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any other questions, comments, and concerns, please comment, like, subscribe. I'll try my best to help you as much as possible and to clarify any confusion you guys have about this or anything else. Thank you again, guys, for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.